Midwest, home sweet home in good old Indiana. Place of small towns, cozy families gathered together, and fields of corn and rustic woods. But, like any town, there is a dark underbelly that often goes unnoted. We are part of that darkness. We lurk in the shadows to bring you the best in horror, metal, and stories of the grotesque. This is Blood in the Cornfields.
All right, welcome everyone to another episode, Blood in the Cornfields. Today we are going to be talking about two movies.
Yes, two of them, not just one, two.
So we're going to be talking today about It Follows and Smile.
And I think the reason that we're kind of doing a twofer like this is because these movies have a lot of similar things about them.
They
similar
do have
themes.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they kind of tried to accomplish some of the same things within each movie, so definitely. But I guess we will. I guess we'll start off with anything new, anything going on with you.
Yeah,
it's just me and Ivy, by the way. I should point out.
Yeah, it's just the two of us this time around. We'll have more guests on, but we're starting out. But I guess new, I would say, is as of this recording, what would be really cool is we got a couple new movies coming out. Mm-hmm. One of which, of course, is the new Exorcist movie. It's bizarre, and I know I've talked about it before, but, a new trailer dropped for it. Looks interesting, I guess. It doesn't scare me as much, so that's a plus.
Always.
So the other one is we just recently found out that there is going to be a reboot of Street Trash.
Yes, which I'm excited about.
That is so neat. I never would have thought such an obscure movie would ever get a reboot like that.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize the movie Fried Berry existed, and I've not watched it. But since all this publicity about the director from Fried Berry doing new Street Trash, I was like, how did I miss this movie? I even text you saying like, oh, yeah. Have you seen this? How have I missed this movie, Fried Berry? So, maybe we will do that on an episode because that looks extremely interesting. And Street Trash is a great flick.
Yeah, maybe at some point. Right now, the movie is in the works. It is being filmed.
It sounds like it's still a ways off.
But it'd be really, really cool to maybe do a comparison of how their old one versus the new one, kind of comes about. The only thing I've noticed, like with plot wise, with the new movie, is that it looks like the drink that they give people is actually being forced onto the homeless people this time around.
Interesting. Okay.
Like, it's actually meant to deplete their population, whereas in the first one, it was an accident.
Yes, yeah.
So that'll be really interesting.
That's cool. And to bring the conversation down, there is a new Saw movie that they're going to be releasing. I saw the trailer for it.
Oh, my God.
I don't know how many times they can involve Tobin Bell in a movie that he's already been killed off with. It just seems absolutely obnoxious and atrocious. And he again is starring in it. So it's not like, because I feel like there's an episode or two of Saw where it was like he only appeared in flashbacks. Right. And like, cool, I understand that. If you're gonna, put his little right hand man, woman, I don't remember, I think it was the girl at the episode I'm thinking of. Cool, have him in flashbacks because it's memories, all that sort of shit. But like, you're literally gonna have him be the star again, like. How is this possible?
Is this now going to be like a prequel? Like, are we going to go that route now?
I don't know.
And what number are we on 10. Anyway? God.
I think it's 10 because it was Saw X. I haven't done research into it. I just saw it was Saw X. So I'm assuming that's 10.
Is Elon Musk making a cameo?
I don't know. I don't know. Yes.
Oh my God.
That's right. Now you've got a X'd. Or X'ting instead of tweeting.
Instead of tweeting. It's weird. weird stuff in 2023, man.
Exactly.
Why don't we start off with It Follows?
Yes. Let's start off with that.
Yes. Let's go on a high note.
Let's totally do that. Well, you give your overview.
So with It Follows, this came out in 2014. For context, that's when I graduated high school.
Let's go.
Yes. This movie was directed by David Robert Mitchell. He's actually a really good director. This was his third film. Yes. And he also did another movie called Under the Silver Lake that I know was pretty popular. I didn't get a chance to see it, unfortunately, but I heard a lot of good reviews about it. But in this case, and It Follows, it takes place it's kind of a teenage coming of age story, where a young lady is basically going out on a date with this gentleman.
It's new in the relationship. They just started off. It appears to be maybe the first month of their relationship, maybe first couple of weeks.
Because they've like, this isn't their first time going out on the date. It's multiple times because she's talked to her sister about, I'm meeting this guy, I'm talking to him and all this other stuff.
Yeah, and it's a little bit mysterious, and there's a lot of undertones for that in the entire movie. But there is no specification of time frame. So, but the way that they have his character, and I'm horrible with names, y'all will learn that shit. So I'm saying him as in the boyfriend. The way that he's portrayed is still very mysterious. Like he doesn't talk a bunch. Like it's short in the movie. And obviously I believe that's purposefully from everything else I've seen in the movie. But as you were saying, it starts off in the very beginning of their relationship.
Yeah, and I believe the young lady, Jay, is she is all of a sudden, after a night of actually finally having sex with this young man.
In a car, I might add.
In a car, yeah.
Classy.
But after that first night, she is all of a sudden, when she wakes up, she's strapped to a chair.
Yeah.
This gentleman is basically saying, you know what? You're screwed. There's a thing that comes after me, and it looks just like people we know. It looks just like people that you would see every day on the street, and it walks very, very slow, but no matter what you do, it's going to find you, and it will try to kill you. Yeah. So best of luck to you. The only way you could pass it on is if you fuck someone else.
Yeah. So, and he at least, I mean, in the guy's defense, he at least has her see for her own eyes. So that way, I mean, because he's kind of, I mean, doing the best I guess he can with what he's got. But he literally waits till It Follows comes I guess you'd say, comes all the way into I guess they were in like a parking garage or some abandoned building or something like that. And so she actually sees with her own eyes. So she believes and understands, which is a little bit nicer than just telling her word of mouth and kicking her out of the car.
Right? Like, by the way, you have this. Yeah. Best of luck to you.
And that sets up the whole premise of the movie. And the thing that's kind of happens with the movie is they, are learning more about what they can try to do to either evade this, defeat it. And she has other friends and characters that are involved in the movie that try to help her out. But wherever she goes, it follows. It's I mean, there's all sorts of similes, metaphors, whatever you want to call it. For, of course, there's the whole STD thing.
The monster is an STD.
Yeah. And one thing I'll get out of right away that I love most about this movie is the music.
Oh my God. It's got 70s, 80s horror music attached to it, that synth that it builds.
It's actually creepy too.
Yeah.
It's well placed at the right spots at the right times. Like, my favorite scene in the movie is when she's in class and then the old lady in the white gown is walking across the grass, and it's her first encounter outside of that parking garage, I believe. So she's still in that did that really happen phase, and then she's seeing it for the first time, and the music that's in there's absolutely perfect.
Oh my God, it's chilling. And just that soundtrack in general is the most beautiful soundtrack ever. I remember when this thing first came out, I really, really wanted because vinyls were coming out again.
Yes.
I really wanted the vinyl for that because I just was like, oh, this is really good.
Yeah, and it's just the cover with the car and the spooky kind of background.
Yep.
And I am a stickler for soundtracks. I'm not usually a big fan. Never have been really, and this is up there in one of the actual few soundtracks that I like.
It's right there with John Carpenter as far as just the score itself.
Yeah. For me, and it's probably stupid, but I don't know if any of you agree with me out there, but I compare everything to the Crow soundtrack.
Yeah.
There's the Crow soundtrack, and then there's everything else. Like, that absolutely is my absolute favorite. And speaking of, they're doing the Crow again. Yeah.
That's a sore subject.
Yes. So I love the Crow, but moving on, that's where I compare everything soundtrack wise. One of the things that's gained a lot of notoriety in this film, in my opinion, is the vagueness, the dream world.
Oh my God, yes.
Where you'll see a girl running and she'll be in shorts and a tank top.
And also like high heels. And it's like, oh my God,
and then they'll pan to the other side of the street. And so that implies summer. And then they pan to the other side of the street. And then there's like fall leaves.
Yeah.
And you'll look at their house and it's very like 70s nostalgic. But then there's like, if I'm not mistaken, a couple new age appliances thrown in.
Yeah. Like, so for example, I know when I first saw the movie that really kind of threw me off is like they're watching old monster movies, and black and white monster
on the
movies.
old TVs, and where they're on the couch.
Yes. And every night, though, they're watching those monster movies. Those are cool kids. I want to hang out with them.
Yeah.
But, like, they're watching those. And on top of that, there's this one girl that has, like, an e-reader. But it's, like, in the shape of, like, a little, like, clamshell.
Yeah, and I don't think that actually existed or exists. And I think that's part of the director's, like, the whole ambience of the movie. In my opinion, I think he's kind of making everything a dream. Mm-hmm. Because there's no time frame.
Right.
You can't tell what time it is.
There's new cars in like this nostalgic neighborhood.
Yeah, and then down to the appliances. Even some of the characters in the movie, like the kid's mom, like they don't really show her very clearly.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, like they're almost like Peanuts characters, or like you hear the parents off screen going wah wah wah. Yeah. They don't do that, but it's basically like that, where it's just vague, and I think it also adds to the spookiness of it because these are kids, these are teenage kids that are being thrown out into the real world. Finally, I mean they're still like high school age, obviously. I think Jay, the main character's in college, but still she's in that transitional phase, kind of like I was in 2014.
Yeah, and
it was just what really was spooky was that these parents are almost non-existent. Mm-hmm. Like they're around, but you only see them for like one shot or something like that. Maybe they say a couple of lines, but after that, they're gone.
Yeah. So it's cool because it does have that element. And whether, the director is trying to make it seem like it was all a dream or whether it was like on some parallel other time and realm, I don't know. It's hard to explain because there's so many things that are in like not concrete. There's so many factual things that are just not factual in that movie. Right. And it kind of makes it crazy. But not to get off track, the whole kind of premise of the movie is, she's now has this curse and she's got to, try to figure out like what she's going to do. So she struggles with the inner parallel of like, do I give it to this boy that is, crushed on me forever?
Right.
And the whole time I'm saying like, just find a nasty prostitute and bang him, right. And just like, hey, get on with it. But it's kind of a dick thing to do. But no, I mean, so she's, following through this whole movie and trying to struggle with those, inner questions of like, what do I do? Not to mention this guy's like crushing on her and, she knows she could easily give it to him and, but then that would affect him. And then also believing, like, is it really going to come for me? Like running in terror, but like, I think there's a sense of, is it actually going to get me,
Right. I think that kind of adds to like the teenage theme of it all is like, this death is actually real. Mm-hmm. Like they are now just discovering like, I could die. Yeah. Like I thought maybe I couldn't, like how teenagers have that heightened like, no, I'm not going to die. It's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what's kind of going on here.
Yeah, yeah. And it kind of, I mean, I see why people draw the parallels for STDs because it's like, hey, like you were given this by someone having sex with you and it's like you can choose to like disclose it to someone else, and like give it to them, so to speak. You can choose not to, and how would that affect them and stuff? I don't know if the director, implied that, but I definitely see the parallels and similarities in that. But then, they try to defeat the creature.
The way they try to defeat the creature is just the funniest thing to me. Like the pool and they're throwing electronics into it, and it's like, why is this not electrocuting this poor girl?
Absolutely.
She's also got like a hurt arm and shit, and it's like, is she okay?
Yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't die sooner.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting scene, and again, the same thing. There's different electronics that don't exactly fit with the day and age that you feel that it's kind of in. Mm-hmm. And that's, again, the vagueness that I think they're trying to portray. And I
think also the director, David Mitchell, he did even express one time in an interview that this movie kind of came about from a dream he had, where just somebody was just walking towards him very slowly, but he felt danger. Yeah. And it's like, that is a freaky thing. But there was one thing that my husband brought up while we were watching the movie, and I think a lot of people have by now, but it's like, so do you go all the way, like, get a plane, go all the way to, like, I don't know, Africa, Asia, whatever, Australia. Yeah. Go all the way out there. The thing will eventually follow you, right? Mm-hmm. How long is it going to take? Yeah. Like, how long is, at a snail's pace, is it going to take for that thing to get to you? Is it going to walk on the water? Does it go under the water?
Does it have to wait for a boat?
Does it actually go on the plane with you? Yeah. like I guess it depends on how fast you go, right?
Exactly.
So maybe you'll actually have a little bit of time to like actually live a life, and then all of a sudden it starts coming after you. And it's like, well, let's go.
Yep, time to go back to the U.S. Yeah. So it's good. And one of the things that is a parallel between Smile and It Follows, to the strongest one for me, is they both have that constant something is coming for you. Mm-hmm. That whole unknown coming for you that you don't know how to deal, you don't know how to handle, you don't know how to vanquish. And to me, those are, in my opinion, the strongest parallels in this movie. And I mean, that's something that is, in my opinion, ultra important for like a horror thriller. Yeah. It has that. And I think It Follows does it better with the music and some of the scenery of just, random old people coming and, walking after you, because it can change form.
And it changes form, especially that beach scene where, like, they all find out it's real and it's coming after them. And there's really detailed and really well done jump scares where, like, the thing changes. I think the one that really genuinely freaked me out was the big tall dude that just comes right out, and I'm just like, oh my, and there wasn't even a sting or anything. Yeah. It was just a fact that this big tall man was just coming out of the darkness. It was like, nope, none of that.
Yeah, and then, we with the pool scene, it doesn't go their way. They do not vanquish it. And the ending even leaves it open for interpretation, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, because, like, the young man, he walks exactly like you're thinking. He walks by a couple hookers, and he's like, I don't even know if he does anything. It's implied that maybe he did or maybe he didn't.
And then the two are together, and they're walking down the street, and then you see a figure behind him. And then that's the movie. It's almost like, well, are they doing it? It Follows too? Or is that how it's supposed to be? You're supposed to just interpret it however you want. I like that. Yeah. I'm a fan of making a really good movie and then fucking stopping.
Yes.
Like stopping.
It's fine. We don't need a part 2. Yeah. It's okay to like leave it alone as a standalone film. That's usually what makes a great cult classic. Like, let it be.
Yes, my favorite, and I hate to say this, but my favorite movie that has done that is the first Saw. When that came out, I was like, holy hell. You have to leave that dude in that, meat locker, whatever the hell it was. And when, Tobin Bell closes the door, and this is just after you've had the big switcheroo and the reveal, and he closes that door, I was like, for the love of everything, please do not make another one of these ever. And then look what happened. Exactly. But I specifically remember, I don't know who I was watching it with. I was in the theater. I was like, if they make a part 2, I'm going to kill myself. I was just like, it was so great how it ended. I'm like, that is how you end a movie. Saw 1 was so great. And it sucks because when it has all the others behind it, it makes the whole franchise look like absolute
shit.
Street trash.
Ah! There we go. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it does. So, but not to get completely off track, but I just had to throw that out there that is my favorite movie to where I'm like, for the love of crap, like, just not make another one. And they completely just ruined it.
I hate to tell you, my friend, apparently it was an independent film. And it was made by fans. It was a fan-made film, but they did an It Follows Part 2.
Did they?
They did. Like, I'm all about creativity. If you got something that you want to expand upon, but for the love of God.
How low budget was it fans-wise?
Oh,
like,
my
God. Are we talking like a couple $100 budget?
I don't know how low of a budget it is, but let's see here. It came out in 2016. It's a short, thank God. Okay, never mind. It's a joke film.
Okay, cool.
Looking more into it, it's called It Follows 2, Slowly. So it's a joke film, about 7 minutes long, but that's pretty neat. You know, I can get down with that.
Awesome. So all in all, It Follows is a good movie for me. I definitely have it in my collection. Again, for me, it has a special place with me because of the soundtrack. And the constant, to me, the rhythmic tones in when they're coming after you, being a drummer, like just the pulsating thump, thump, thump when it's coming after you, I think really adds to the ambience and the spookiness of it. So, I mean, for me, I think It Follows is a great flick. Like, I definitely, you know, like I said, would add it to my collection already too. But yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah, highly recommend. So let's go on to the next one.
To Smile,
which was released in 2022, just last year. The director here and writer is Parker Finn. He's a new director.
First time to director. So that's important to know.
Very important.
Yes, it's important to know.
So it's actually based on one of his short films called Laura Hasn't Slept. And honestly, my husband and I, we watched that one and it was really interesting. It was actually pretty well done and was very effective. And it was funny enough, like the chick that plays Laura is in this new movie.
Okay.
Like she's the chick that offs herself in the first. That's her. It's the same lady.
So that's one of my favorite parts in the whole movie is when she's having the therapy session and then the girl freaks out. Yeah. So that's Laura in the other movie?
Yeah, apparently that's her. That's the same chick. So that's pretty neat. I love that there's that consistency.
Awesome.
Of course, in the original short film, she is dead by the end of that one, but it's like, it's okay. That's a neat little Easter egg.
She's got consistency.
She does.
Characters. All right.
But yeah, and then all of a sudden it was picked up by a major film company, Paramount. And so here we got...
Pretty darn major.
Yeah. And here we got a full-length movie based on a short film.
Yeah.
We're basically doing like we did with Lights Out.
Yeah.
But I think, as much as it pains me to say it, Smile was done 10 times better than Lights Out.
Yeah, I would agree.
But yeah, let's kind of talk about the actual premises of the movie.
Sure. So basically, with my interpretation, similar to It Follows... you have a main character she's a psychiatrist, I believe, right?
Yeah, Rose. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So she's a psychiatrist and she encounters a patient who is acting very strangely, to say the least.
She's being very secretive.
Yes. And she's trying to get help and pretty much freaks out and then flashes the smile and ends up killing herself right in front of the doctor.
After freaking out and like some sort of thing is like beating her up.
Yeah, and then she just snaps out of it and then you see her smiling, which she is the best smiler in the movie.
She is.
Yes, she is the best smiler. And then that starts the whole premise of the movie where you see the traumatic event and then this entity or whatever, it's never really known what it is. I just call it an entity because that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, right.
Then takes over you because you have now witnessed this tragic event. Or it could be that you've witnessed a suicide. I don't know. One in the same, maybe.
It's typically somebody who has killed themselves in front of you.
Yeah. And that's why I don't know if it's like a suicide demon or if it's just an entity that preys on, tragedy or trauma. Yeah. So, similar to It Follows, the rest of the movie, the main character is trying to discover, what the hell is this, that I just witnessed? She's struggling with the whole entity internally too, because she's getting flashes of it throughout everything. Similar to It Follows, she's not seeing it, but she's knows it's there because the entity is coming for her and she can see it.
And not to mention, this poor woman, Nobody loves her. I swear to God, nobody loves her. She has a sister and a brother-in-law that are complete major assholes to her.
How much of a pussy is the brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, oh my God, he's pussy whipped, that man. And not
pushover.
Yeah, and not to mention her, like, I think it's her fiance.
Yeah.
He's like, just, oh, you're delusional, babe. It's nothing. It's fine. What the hell? Like, get her help. Like, don't just, like, you're scaring me. Dude.
Yeah.
Get her help.
Yeah.
She's seeing shit. She needs help. She's a psychologist who needs help.
Yeah.
And she actually does get help. And that's the nice thing about it. Like, she actually does, I think the only two people that actually care about her in this whole movie are her boss, who basically tells her, hey, take some leave. This was a terrible event
what's his name? Kyle Penn or something like that? How do you say his name?
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he was in Harold and Kumar.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, he's the boss, and who's the other person that actually cares about her?
Well, actually, I guess there's three of them, but the other one's her ex-boyfriend.
That's right. Yes.
And I forget. For the love of me, I did not know he was the ex-boyfriend. They did not make that very clear.
Yeah,
He's like a cop.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I think somewhere along the lines it was almost implied, because I don't know. I interpreted throughout the movie that she almost has regret, like she did him wrong, or like she had left him when he was in a time of need or something like that.
Yeah,
I got that kind of vibe from it. So to me, I think I just made that assumption. So I don't know if they made it clear in the movie. I just kind of took it from that assumption.
It took me a while for me to realize that was her ex.
Yeah.
Because he was like hitting on her and all this other stuff. I'm like, oh, now I see what's going on. It took a while though, because I did not know what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So within the movie, I guess one of the bigger differences in this movie is that there is a character that actually has defeated the entity, wherein it follows, it is batting 1,000. It's taking everybody out. So yeah, that set it up for an interesting little middle kind of plot twist, light subtly there. Yeah,
because it was like, okay, you were actually able to defeat this thing by like brutally murdering somebody else. It's like
in front of witnesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, like, okay, so here's your options, lady. You can let it kill you.
Yeah.
Or you go out and you murder somebody.
Yeah. So that's when you
get arrested. You don't go back to your job, go to jail.
Yep. Yeah. It's like just live your life in jail or get murdered. Mm-hmm. And that's the point where you kind of understand that, okay, well, yeah, and it's not some like suicide demon, that this actually is a trauma entity that like the only way you can beat this is to pass trauma on to someone else. But I think it has to specifically be like killing,
And, with that, because I thought about it a little bit, I noticed something like, I guess, like rewatching it, because actually we've done this episode before.
Yeah, it got deleted.
Yeah, shit happens. But like, so rewatching it and like kind of looking back through it, I noticed something that I thought was kind of interesting.
What's that?
Obviously it's a trauma demon.
Mm-hmm.
There's this one scene in the movie that always bothers me in particular. We'll get to the cons of the movie, but there are a lot of scenes that bother me. But this one in particular kind of bothered me a little bit, and I was hoping it would go somewhere with it.
Okay.
And it was basically the scene where she goes after she gives... Okay, so she gives her, like, nephew a dead cat by accident because the entity...
That's my favorite part. I'm going to show up with a dead cat
that was
birthday
so
party.
Funny.
I was so jealous.
Right? What a cool aunt. Shit.
Oh, man.
But it was like her cat went missing, and all of a sudden, oh, my stash is in the box. What's in the box? The cat.
Yeah. And the little girl in the corner is just smiling.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't say that I probably wouldn't be grinning from ear to ear, too, if I did that to somebody.
I love cats. I have a cat. If you couldn't hear it before, I would never hurt my cat. But that was funny.
Yeah.
But, like, afterwards, she goes to apologize to her sister.
Yeah.
And, she does this apology. Her sister's like, nah, get out of here. You're just upset because you never healed from what you did to your mom.
Yeah.
And it's like, all that shit. And that's another thing to unpack later.
Yeah.
But, like, then, all of a sudden she goes into her car. Sorry, it's so funny. She goes into her car and you see the sister starting to walk towards her.
Oh, yeah.
And she just stands there and she's like, oh, I guess maybe my sister's going to apologize, or like, say something nice. Nope, noodle neck.
Yeah, it turns upside down.
Yeah.
And like just like,
what the fuck was that?
Know. It's like, did you need something?
With a big smile on her face. Yeah. And like what bothers me about it is then afterwards it pans over to the little boy watching out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Could he see that happen? Or was he just reacting to like seeing his poor aunt just becoming mush?
Yeah.
Like, could that have been, instead of having to kill somebody, could that have been what could have, I don't know, passed on the trauma, but it goes to the little boy?
I think
without killing somebody?
I think the scene was added in afterwards, and they had a jump scare quota that they needed to meet, and so they just inserted that.
Okay.
Like, that's what it felt like. That was so meaningless. Like,
that's true. To be honest, most of the jump scares are fucking meaningless. They're just taking James Wan's school of I'm going to create a jump scare because I need to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's one of my biggest complaints with the movie was just all the stupid jump scares that were just not needed.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I almost had to walk away from the movie a couple times.
So when the movie kind of progresses, after that midway part of the like little mid plot twist where, hey, she goes and meets a convict, she then kind of goes on her own journey of like, what do I do to defeat this / like girl power? I'm gonna beat this, I think, kind of element.
Kind of giving me Nancy vibes from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. And really, there's not too much going on in the middle. It's mostly kind of the same shit. And then when you come to the end is when I completely just I was like, all right, I'm cashing in my chips. I'm dipping. Like,
so let me describe that part to you, to y'all. That was the scene. I know you didn't like it, but that was when my husband and I just cheered. We're like, yes, something happened. Something batshit finally happened.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, it was giving me straight Malignant vibes at that point. I'm like, that's what I needed.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Balls to the walls. That was exactly what we needed because my husband and I were basically, we were watching this. I was just getting so bored with all the jump scares and just shit. I was getting tired of I swear to God, this kid had seen Hereditary way too many times because he did that stupid camera flip.
Yeah, where the car's driving down the road and shoot, they're upside down.
And it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
It's like I could hear him stroking his dick. It was pissing me off. But you know what? He's a first-time filmmaker. Good for you. You wanted to do something creative.
And overall, for his first film, I'm not going to shit on it. Like, first film, okay, cool. Because there are definitely elements that I could pluck out of this movie and say, like, hey, use this type of shit in your next movie, but all that other stuff, throw that shit in the trash.
Yeah.
And it could springboard to something pretty badass.
And I think a lot of it, and again, this kid, good job for a major movie. And yes, I do agree. You could totally spring off from this, but like, I feel like it was a lot of like major corporation shit that was basically, you need to do this,
need to do this. We have a CGI budget that we just have to blow our load on.
Right.
So here, throw some cool shit in. And it like looks terrible.
And he's like, this isn't what I wanted.
Yeah, you're like, why the fuck is this even in here? But yeah, they had a CGI budget that they had to, exhaust. So
going back to the end scene, she goes, so there, it's established earlier on in the movie that she has trauma related to her mother's death. I guess she watched her mom die. It looks like she tried to kill herself and it kind of went wrong where she was still alive.
Yeah, she came in on the very end of it.
Yeah. And she's a little girl. And
like 3 or 4, right?
I would say probably closer to 7. She's a little older.
I'm bad with age.
Yeah, it's okay. she looked a little older, but
she was walking. She could talk. Yeah.
she was 4. By no means a baby.
4. I don't know.
But like she walks in on her, and then it's later revealed in like this end scene because she goes to her old childhood house, which is like dilapidated and in this nasty kind of area.
With that almost like Nancy, I'm gonna fight you vibe.
Yeah.
I felt like not to overdone, I just subtly.
Yeah, because she was going there with this ex-boyfriend of hers after everybody basically said, fuck you. So this guy was going to, you really shouldn't be doing this. You know, he's trying to get her to, no, don't do this, because he's looked at all this evidence, too, which...
He's like, bitch, you gonna die.
Yeah.
You gonna die.
You gonna die. And I'm gonna, try to help you out, but you're gonna die.
Yeah.
But he's trying to, kind of help her out and all that, and takes her to the house, and she goes in there, and all of a sudden the entity appears as her mother.
Yeah.
And this is where we we get the revelation that she didn't call for help when her mom was calling out to her and basically saying, hey, I messed up, please help me.
Yeah.
And that's what kickstarted her in her journey of becoming a therapist and also needing a lot of therapy herself.
So a little insight, I think that I have it right. I'm thinking. So part of the end of the movie is that this demon, in my opinion, breaks you down until you're weak, and then that's when he kills you. It's almost like either because A, he's not strong enough to kill you, or B, he wants to torture you as long as you can, and then he'll finally end you. So I think that she's going back there to kill. She remembers the scenario of her mom dying in version A, where she died, and really she realizes it was version B, and she remembers that she walked out on her mom and basically said, "Fuck you, you can die." Not really like that. She
kind of like that.
She was a child. We'll give her, I don't know. Depends on the age. I look at my kid; she's 6. Would she really comprehend what's going on? I think my daughter would help me, though. So
yeah,
I gotta kind of say that. But so I think that being in the house and realizing more trauma, because I think she blocked out and was living her life with version A, but then realized it was really version B, and that added more trauma. So I think that's how the entity got strength and became that bigger pile of shit that came out of that room or whatever.
Not to mention, this is where it gets batshit crazy, is where... Oh my God. It's just funny thinking about it because it's funny.
Y'all have seen it, you know.
Yep. The bitch gross.
Yeah, she's gross.
She basically calls her a monster. That's exactly what she turns into.
Yeah.
Those undies expanded.
Yes, the chones got way bigger. That was the thing that I noticed the most. I said that on the recording before. The chones, that was what drove me nuts. Because for some reason I was just looking and they're whitey tighty.
They were bright whitey tighty.
Yeah, they're brief white, stark white.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and they expanded, and that's all that I could watch. You reminded me of that shit. I forgot about that. Yeah, I'm just looking at these chones, and I'm just like, oh my God. That is some big underwear. And
the bitch grew.
Yeah.
And she pulls her mouth apart and all this other shit, and the whole thing is that this demon finally catches up to her and basically is like, oh, I'm a monster, you say? Well, eat me then.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically rips open Rose's mouth and climbs inside, and I'm like, this is exactly what I needed. Thank you, movie, for being stupid by the end.
Yes.
But I can get your point though behind that. That's what lost you, because I can see where it was at the very beginning, thrilling, this mystery,
yeah.
What's going on? Now there is a way to defeat it. The way I thought she was going to defeat it, she's going to go to this house, yeah? And she was going to off herself on purpose.
With no one watching?
With no one watching.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just what ends it. But guess what happens? Guess who walks in? That ex-boyfriend.
Yes. Well, and before that too, though, if I'm remembering right, there was a scene to where she killed it, but it then was a dream, or it was the entity toying
I forgot
with her.
about that. Yeah.
So she has a dream or a premonition or something that she had killed the entity and was going back to her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, and then nope.
Just kidding.
Back. Yeah, it was the entity possessing her mind, toying with her, maybe making her weaker. And
he's like, okay, let's go. And then all of a sudden, she got that smile.
Yeah. And so she, proceeds to pour gasoline on herself, lights herself on fire. Ex-boyfriend sees, he's obviously traumatized, seeing the woman he loves go up in flames, which is a horrible way to commit suicide.
Sounds awful.
Holy
disgusting.
Hell, that's terrible.
And there's other disgusting ways that people have killed themselves in this movie.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Like that one guy with the snippers. the garden shears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope.
So, and that's how it ends, as basically like, hey, you know, this thing will continue on, you assume, through the ex-boyfriend and all that. So it just kind of abruptly, you know, ends at that point. So.
And I guess to compare these two, like, they obviously, you know, it's an entity. We already established that follows you, but it's also based on trauma.
Yeah.
Different forms of trauma in this case, but also, I would also say there's also like a loss of innocence kind of theme to it.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, like in It Follows, there was, if you notice, like, anybody that's ever like having this thing follow it reverts back to a state of mind where before they were in this state, before they were corrupted of sorts.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in the opening scene of It Follows, that young lady who winds up on the beach.
Yeah, running on the street in heels.
And she's on the phone with her dad, or like, I don't know if she's on the phone with her dad, but she's like leaving a recorded message, and she talks about all the good times that they had together as a family.
Yeah.
Before she's just, you know, and leg snapped on the beach, you know. And not to mention, like, Jay, one of the things is, after a lot of the trauma happens with that tall dude scaring her, she retreats to a playground.
Yeah.
So she returned, like, each of these people start to return to, like, a state of childlike innocence, or at least they're trying to grasp back at that.
Yeah.
Is what it seems like. And then with Smile, it's kind of similar in a way, where she wants to get back to the state of what she was, but the thing is that she never properly dealt with this trauma.
Yeah.
That was hurting her, because she never was able to really forgive herself for letting her mom pass away the way she did.
And for me, you know, kind of thinking about the two movies, the kudos I have is definitely like, you know, I appreciate that they both went out and actually made a movie that made you think. They made a movie that didn't have a plot line that was absolutely rehashed or complete trashed. Like, you know, they got creative with it. You know, they really tried to make movies that were not of what you've seen before. So I definitely commend both films for that. You know, going on a limb, I will specifically isolate Smile in the fact that their advertising for that.
Oh my God.
Badass. They had actors be in baseball games, because I'm a huge baseball nerd, so I saw it. Like, they would just stand up and smile. And they smiled that smile and like said nothing. Like, the camera just stayed on them. And that happened at, I think, like baseball games. I think there was like football games, different things. Like, the advertisement for that was badass. That was so good.
That is very creative. Yeah. You don't see too many people doing that. I think the last time we saw something similar to that would have been like when Carrie, the new remake, was coming out, and they did that. They did the Jedi lift. In the coffee shop. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
Or even the Devil Baby for Devil's Due that freaked out and scared everybody.
They're doing that with the Red Door, too. I don't know if you saw that. There's on some street, it looks like New York or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And it says, Insidious, the Red Door, the new, I don't know, I think maybe it's out in theaters now. But, they're having a red door that people are coming in, and then there's like a guy dressed up. And he's like,
that's fun.
So, but this one was different, though, because they put him in live events, and I thought that was really cool, really creative. Totally A+ on the advertising, in my opinion, for Smile. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And there you have it. We have our two movies. I hope that you get a chance to look at them. Definitely, I recommend It Follows, and I think you do as the better movie. But
Smile is worth watching, too. Just in a sense that, like, you know, like I said before, it makes you think. And it does have something that's constantly coming after you that's like a really cool theme in movies that I love from old 80s slashers and shit.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually, because that is kind of part of horror, is just that unknown entity that is coming after you, and the body count rising.
That's Jason.
Yeah.
Michael Myers too, but like, to me, Jason was more like relentless and aggressive. So like, to me, that's directly where that shit comes from.
And I think, you know, on second viewing also, because I had a lot of issues with Smile. Oh man, the last one I was ranting and raving, you guys would have just been done. So I apologize. Glad that you didn't hear that version, but No, I think upon second viewing, I have a lot more respect for it, definitely, and
so do
talking
I.
it out as well. Because it's the thing that I didn't like about it is that it was too tropey. There was too many things that you've seen all the time. I could literally count on my hand the number of times that, like, here comes this jump scare. Oh, there's the cat. Here comes this. Oh, somebody's going to come up and scare this person. There's a sting. Okay, here it comes. But, even though it had all those things, it was still a unique story, unique enough story that it carried it by itself. That carried the film, unlike Lights Out, which just felt like a dragged out short film, and we had to drag it out for an hour and a half. So
absolutely,
yeah. So
I mean, to me, they're both worth watching. I think do yourself a favor, own the media. Don't be streaming. Don't be doing none of that shit. Buy the actual movie. I can't stress that enough. Like I love collecting movies. I don't know. Like, to me, it's just possessing it is cool. And I think both of these are something that, the average horror collector definitely either has in their collection or should. So
yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
I
think that's where we end this shit. So appreciate all y'all listening to us. We will keep it going. We're going to have all sorts of different episodes, events. We're trying to line a few things up, so we're being a little bit vague, but hopefully, when you're listening to this and some of the episodes after, we will have some details on some cool shit we're doing here, some cool events, some cool episodes. We'll kind of give you guys a little recap, but
we'll even have eventually a throwback episode to when I was pregnant. So
absolutely, yes.
That'll be fun to listen to.
Awesome. So appreciate everyone tuning in. Follow us. We got social media that we're going to link. So yeah, we all appreciate it. So have a good night.
Yes, thank you so much. Bye.
Sweet.